This is the luxury world. Get inspired with us today and tomorrow. The once soaring prices of Rolex watches have taken a sharp turn downward, falling by as much as 30% from their peak in 2022. Specific watch models experienced a significant surge in value, leading to a scenario where auction houses were consistently achieving groundbreaking prices on an almost daily basis. Now, what does this hold in the future of Rolex prices as they continue to fall? In this video brought to you by the Luxury World, we will delve into the reasons behind the Rolex falling prices and how this holds the Rolex future. If you have not already subscribed to our channel, we encourage you to do so now to stay informed about our future videos. Prices for pre-owned Rolex watches experienced a decline on the secondary market in the previous month, whereas entry-level models and brands such as Omega and Cartier demonstrated better performance. According to the Bloomberg Subdial Watch Index, an indicator of Rolex timepieces witnessed a 2.2% decrease in September. Concurrently, an index comprising 100 entry-level watches, typically valued below $9,120, exhibited a 0.8% drop during the same period. These findings indicate that collectors and enthusiasts remain cautious about investing in the most hyped models from leading Swiss brands, reflecting a continued hesitancy even after the surge in prices observed in 2021 and the early part of 2022. The prices of Rolex, Patek, and other prominent pre-owned models had reached record highs in the secondary market during the pandemic. However, a significant pullback commenced in April 2022, attributed to higher interest rates and the collapse of numerous cryptocurrencies. This dramatic decline has been attributed to a combination of factors, including the following. The Rolex Certified Pre-Owned Program. In response to the evolving market conditions, Rolex introduced the Certified Pre-Owned Program. Authorized dealers are now providing pre-owned Rolex watches that have undergone authentication and servicing by Rolex. Rolex has made it easier for consumers to buy and sell pre-owned Rolex watches. This increased competition in the secondary market has also driven down prices. These watches are accompanied by a new and comprehensive set of paperwork, enhancing the overall value of the purchase. While Rolex does not directly establish the prices for certified pre-owned watches, retailers are responsible for this aspect. This situation has resulted in a competitive environment among dealers, leading to a downward trend in prices as they compete with each other. Peak increased supply in new factories. Rolex has been steadily increasing its production of watches in recent years. This increased supply has helped to meet the growing demand for Rolex watches, but it has also put downward pressure on prices. The decline in luxury watch demand can be primarily attributed to escalating interest rates and a reduction in consumer spending on non-essential items such as electronics, furniture, and apparel. This trend is partially driven by buyers attempting to economize. Surprisingly, prices for certain mid-tier luxury watches, including those from Omega, are on the rise, outpacing high-end Swiss models. Many consumers are now seeking rare and undervalued timepieces, and in some instances, they are opting for smaller-sized watches. Despite the decrease in demand, the supply of Rolex watches has reached an all-time high. While there were brief production halts during the pandemic, Rolex maintained its output at or above the standard range of 800,000 to 1 million watches per year. Notably, Rolex is actively constructing new factories and has plans to increase shipments in the coming months. This boost in supply aims to meet the growing demand, particularly in the Asian market. The bursting of the luxury watches bubble. During the pandemic, many investors flocked to luxury watches as a haven for their money. This led to an artificial surge in demand and prices, which peaked in early 2022. However, as the economy slowed and inflation concerns grew, investors began to sell off their watches, causing prices to plummet. The peak of Rolex prices and subsequent decreased demand occurred in February 2022 when the index peaked at $60,000. However, by the end of the year, prices plummeted to $36,000, and presently, they hover around $34,000. This notable decline can be ascribed to a bubble that materialized in the watch market. Speculative investors were acquiring Rolex watches with the anticipation of substantial profits, creating an artificial surge in demand and prices. As the bubble burst, the demand for Rolex professional models diminished over the preceding 6 months. During this period, lower-priced entry-level timepieces have outperformed both the overall market and the Rolex and Patek Philippe indexes. The Bloomberg Subdial Watch Index, comprising the 50 most traded watches by value from Rolex, Patek Philippe, and Audemars Piguet, has experienced a 5% drop in 6 months, whereas the entry-level 100 index fell by just 0.7% over the same period. A notable exception to the trend of cheaper watches outperforming is Rolex's sister brand Tudor. whose entry-level priced watches have seen a 4.8% drop in 6 months. Nevertheless, most watches in the Bloomberg subdial watch index from Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet, and Rolex still command prices on the secondary market above their listed retail price. Since late 2022, Wall Street has been rife with predictions of Federal Reserve interest rate increases disrupting the U.S. economy and stock market. While the broader economy has surprisingly held up well, the monetary tightening has triggered a downturn of a different nature, a decline in the secondary market for luxury watches. The overall market index for watches, tracking prices of 60 timepieces from top brands including Rolex, Patek Philippe, and Audemars Piguet, has plunged by 32% since March 2022. Market rebound. There are trends that are advantageous for buyers who can benefit from lower prices, contributing to a market rebound and normalization. The current downward trend in Rolex prices is viewed as a market self-adjusting after the burst of the bubble. It signifies a process of returning to normal levels rather than a drastic decline. Other luxury watches brands like Omega and Vacheron are also witnessing price decreases. However, Cartier is holding its ground and not following the same trend. As for Rolex's strategy for the future, it remains to be seen. Rolex strategy. Moving ahead, Rolex's strategy involves enhancing both the supply and demand aspects. This includes the construction of new factories and a substantial increase in production, with the overarching goal of meeting the rising demand for its watches. Simultaneously, the brand is directing its efforts toward expanding its footprint in the Asian market, recognizing the significant potential that exists for luxury watches in this region. This strategic move aligns with the increased demand for Rolex watches and the growth opportunities presented by the Asian market. Race to the bottom in prices. As more dealers enter the Rolex-certified pre-owned market, competition has heightened, resulting in a decline in prices. Some retailers are even setting their certified pre-owned prices at 50% above the standard pre-owned market value for the same model. Nevertheless, this price competition is driving down overall pre-owned prices, establishing a self-perpetuating loop. Asian market. The escalating demand for luxury watches, including Rolex, is significantly driven by the rapidly growing wealth and increased disposable income in Asian countries like China and India. As more individuals seek to invest in luxury timepieces, Rolex's strategic plans to address this demand through increased supply are anticipated to bolster its market position. Changing consumer preferences. Younger generations of consumers are less interested in luxury watches than their predecessors. This is due in part to the rise of smartwatches and other wearable technology. As a result, the demand for Rolex watches is not as strong as it once was. Regarding the question of whether it is a favorable time to buy a Rolex, the answer hinges on your purpose. If you intend to own a Rolex for personal enjoyment, there is never a disadvantageous time to make such a purchase. Rolex watches retain their value over time, and market fluctuations should not discourage you. However, if your primary goal is quick financial gain, buying a Rolex purely for investment purposes is not advisable due to the unpredictable nature of the market. The decline in Rolex prices is likely to continue in the short term. However, the long-term outlook for Rolex is still positive. Rolex is a highly respected brand with a long history of producing high-quality watches. As the economy recovers and consumer confidence returns, demand for Rolex watches is likely to rebound. What are your thoughts on the reason behind the Rolex prices we shared in this video? If you enjoyed the video, we would appreciate it if you let us know by leaving a comment and giving it a thumbs up. Do not forget to follow our channel for more content. Thank you for watching The Luxury World, and we look forward to having you join us in our upcoming videos.